I was in a long-distance relationship with my boyfriend for 5 years. I worked hard to pay for his PhD and took care of his sick mother, yet when he returned, he was holding another girl's hand. He told me, "Cora, you did all that willingly. I don't owe you anything. Let's have a clean break." Later, he knelt at my door, begging for another chance. Evan was back. I found out late at night, dozing off against the counter of the fried chicken shop where I worked. My high school classmate, Nina, came in for a late-night snack. "Cora," she recognized me. "You're working yourself to the bone. A day job, and now a night shift at a chicken place." I rubbed my sleepy eyes and stood up, expertly dropping boneless chicken into the hot oil. "Well, I'd just be bored at home," Nina teased. "But Evan's back. You two should be inseparable. How could you be bored?" I froze, the hot oil nearly spattering my hand. "Evan is back." Nina was taken aback. "You didn't know?" I shook my head, numb. He hadn't told me. For the last month, our chat history had been almost entirely me sending messages. The sunrise I saw on my way to work, a kitten that wandered into my office, the song I had on repeat in the evening. I shared everything interesting with him, but Evan rarely replied. The occasional response was just to say he was busy and didn't have time to check his phone. I told myself that long-distance relationships have their cool, down periods. Besides, a PhD program must be incredibly stressful. It was normal for him to be busy, but why wouldn't he even tell me he was back? Nina looked flustered. "I only found out yesterday." Evan started a small group chat with a few of our closer friends from high school. He said it had been a while and suggested we all get dinner tomorrow. She showed me her phone. There were about 7 or 8 people in the group. I wasn't one of them. "I just figured you two were a package deal." "So he didn't add you?" Nina scratched her head. "Did you two have a fight?" "I can send you the address, and we can go together tomorrow. Whatever the issue is, it's better to sort it out in person." As if in a trance, I nodded. The dinner was in a private room at a restaurant. Nina and I arrived together. Evan wasn't there yet, but a few other classmates were. They were still in the dark, so they started teasing me the moment I walked in. "Well, look who it is. The wifey's here. So, your man finally made it big, huh? Your patience has paid off." They instinctively left the 2 head seats empty and ushered me into one of them. "There you go, the official lovebird seats." I looked at their cheerful faces, a sense of dread gnawing in my stomach, unable to voice it. About 10 minutes later, Evan arrived. He was smiling when he entered, but his smile faltered the moment he saw me. His eyes flickered, and his lips tightened into a thin line. His face was cold. He ignored the empty seat beside me and chose one at the far end of the table. He didn't even spare me a glance. The classmates who had been ready to tease us fell silent. They exchanged confused looks. "What's going on, Evan?" Nina broke the silence. "Did you and Cora have a fight?" He gave a barely perceptible shake of his head. He quickly ordered his food and then put down the menu. "I'm getting married." The room was quiet for a few seconds. A slow-witted male classmate stood up and started clapping. So Evan was planning a surprise for Cora. Nina pulled him back down before he could finish. Everyone could feel that something was terribly wrong. The next moment, the door to the private room opened, and a girl in a head-to-toe Chanel outfit timidly poked her head in. "Honey, Sophie," Evan called out gently. He went to her, took her hand, and turned to the group. "Everyone, let me introduce you. This is my fiancé, Sophie." All eyes widened. No one could say a word. I sat there, feeling as if a bucket of ice water had been dumped over my head, frozen in place. "Honey," Sophie said, tugging at his sleeve pitifully. "I don't think you're friends like me." "Not at all," Evan soothed, stroking her hair. "You're just too beautiful. They're all jealous that I have such a wonderful fiancé, so they're stunned." Sophie was immediately placated. She looked up and said coquettishly, "Then you should introduce me to your friends." He introduced everyone at the table. When it was my turn, his voice caught for a fraction of a second. "Cora," he said, his throat moving. "My high school deskmate." I was silent for 2 seconds. Then I laughed. "Evan, why don't you tell everyone, a little louder, that I'm just your deskmate?" His face instantly darkened. Just then, a waiter came in with the soup, 1 tureen for each person. As he was about to place one in front of me, Evan said coolly, "She's not having any." Even the waiter was taken aback. He checked the order. "You have 8 guests, but you only ordered 7 soups." "That's correct," Evan said, gesturing to me with his chin. "That one is not my guest." Then he turned to me. "Cora, have some self-respect. You're making everyone uncomfortable." The end of the night was a blur. Nina told me later what I had done. I had grabbed the ceramic tureen from the waiter's tray and thrown it at Evan. He had dodged, but the hot soup had splashed all over him and onto Sophie. She had screamed and tried to call the police. Nina, seeing things were getting out of hand, had dragged me away. My mind was in a complete fog the entire time, my emotions spiraling out of control as if I were drunk. When I came to, I was sitting on Nina's sofa, crying. She wearily handed me tissues. I looked down and saw 5 empty boxes on the floor. "I'm sorry for the trouble," I whispered. "You're finally talking," she said, letting out a long sigh and leaning back, exhausted. After a long silence, she muttered, "That bastard Evan." I couldn't speak. Nina knew our story. In fact, our whole high school did. Evan was the genius, the top student who also happened to be devastatingly handsome, with the aloof air of an untouchable prince. Half the girls in our year had a crush on him, but I was the one who had pursued him the most relentlessly. He skipped breakfast, so I was the first one at the cafeteria every morning to get his favorite pork and egg wrap. He played basketball, so I would bring a cart full of drinks for him and his entire team. He had a weak stomach, so I got a prescription from an old doctor through a relative, brewed the medicine, and brought it to him in a thermos between classes. If the story had ended at graduation, it would have just been a silly tale of a girl's puppy love. But in college, just when I had started to think my old self had been a fool and had given up, he called me late one night. "Cora," he said my name. "I don't think I'll ever meet a girl who loves me more than you do. Will you be my girlfriend?" I don't remember what I said. Probably a string of about 30 yes. I just remember him laughing on the other end. "You're so cute," he had said. I hung up and ran 10 laps around the track field, but it wasn't enough to calm my excitement. Evan called me cute. I thought then that my perseverance had truly paid off. In the years that followed, we had many sweet moments, until one winter night, he asked me out, and after downing a bottle of beer, he told me he had been accepted into a PhD program at a prestigious university abroad, but I didn't get a scholarship, and my mom isn't doing well. Myself, sacrificing passion ignited, I puffed out my chest and told him, "You follow your dream. I'll handle everything else. No scholarship, no problem." I was about to start working. I could save my salary, find some side hustles. I could support my boyfriend. His mom was sick. No problem. I would take care of her. We were going to be family anyway. I can't think about it anymore. If I do, I'll really want to smash a tureen over my own head and ask myself how I could have been so stupid. Nina saw what I was thinking and gently patted my shoulder. "Cora, it's not your fault. Evan is just a scumbag." I did some digging. After we left, he kept telling Sophie that you were a crazy girl from high school who was obsessed with him, that you had mental problems and were delusional about being his girlfriend. Nina took a deep breath, as if to calm herself. How dare he say that in front of all of us, who know the truth? But no one had dared to expose him. Evan wasn't stupid. On the contrary, he was too clever. Soon, everyone knew about Sophie's background. She was the only daughter of a famous investor. He probably wants to start a business back here and needs capital. Nina sighed. That's why he. Before she could finish, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I ignored it the first time, but it called again, persistently. When I answered, a girl's voice came through. "Is this Cora?" Nina and I exchanged a shocked look. It was Sophie. She asked to meet me at a private club. She was wearing a new Chanel suit, exuding the effortless grace of a wealthy heiress. "Evan told me everything," she said, frowning at me. "What's wrong with you? He already said he doesn't like you. Why do you keep bothering him? If you have problems, you should get them treated," she said, pointing to her head with a perfectly manicured nail. "Do you not have the money for a doctor? I can sponsor you." I looked at her wrist. Her left was adorned with Van Cleef Arpels and Cartier, but on her right was a slightly out of place jade bracelet. She noticed my gaze and touched it happily. This was a gift from Evan's mother. Of course, I knew. I had taken care of his mother for years. She was often sick. When she had an attack in the middle of the night and needed to go to the hospital, it was me she called. When she had to be hospitalized, with him abroad and her refusing to hire a nurse, it was me who stayed by her side. That jade bracelet had always been on her wrist. I had once overheard her telling another patient that it was a family heirloom, for her future daughter-in-law, but she had never given it to me. I suddenly remembered something. Once, when I came back with her food, I had heard her on the phone on the balcony. Fragments of her conversation drifted over. "You need to consider it. Cora isn't even an only child. She has a younger brother." I hadn't thought much of it then, but now I finally understood. She had been talking to him. She had already known about Sophie and was helping him weigh his options. Sophie was from a rich family, an only child, destined to inherit everything. I came from an ordinary family and had a brother. No wonder she had never mentioned the bracelet to me after all those years. Sophie had only been back for a few days, and it was already on her wrist. As I was staring, the door opened, and Evan walked in. He had a sheen of sweat on his forehead, his voice urgent. "Sophie, why did you meet with her alone?" Seeing her pout, his tone immediately softened. "She's not stable. I was afraid she would hurt you." He coaxed her to leave first, then looked at me. I met his gaze with a cold stare. Miraculously, I thought I would cry, but I didn't. He sat down opposite me and rubbed his temples, as if trying to figure out how to deal with me, this problem. After a long silence, he spoke. "I'll pay you back the money you've sent me over the years, with interest from the bank, then we'll be even." I almost laughed out loud. I had supported my boyfriend through years of a finance PhD, and this was the level of his financial acumen. "Is that all?" I asked coldly. "What about all the years I took care of your mother? All the problems I handled for you back here?" "Cora," he interrupted, frowning. "Now you're just being unreasonable." "Did I force you?" he said impatiently. "You did it willingly. We have so many mutual friends. If this gets ugly, it will be embarrassing for everyone. Can't we just part amicably?" I was silent again. I had always thought his coldness was just a difficulty in expressing himself, but in that moment, I finally realized that his heart was truly cold. Seeing my silence, he stood up and delivered his final verdict. "Let's just forget about the dinner. I'll talk to our old classmates. They won't say anything to Sophie." "Cora, don't look so hurt," he said in a low voice. "So many girls have a crush on me. You should feel lucky you got to be with me for so long." 2 days later, he posted a photo on his social media. It was him and Sophie, their hands, adorned with diamond rings, clasped together. Some classmates liked it, some didn't, but those who had stood up for me were quickly deleted, including Nina. "I know what he's thinking," Nina said indignantly over the phone. "He knows we're on your side, so he's cutting us off to stop us from bothering him and his fiancée." I hung up, my mind a blank. Nina wanted to come see me, but I refused. When a person is at their lowest, they tend to sleep a lot. I slept for 3 days, losing track of day and night. On the 3rd day, my brother showed up. "Did you forget you have a meeting with an investor today? I've been calling you, but you haven't been answering," he grumbled as he walked in, then stopped short when he saw my face. "Whoa, sis, it's only been 2 weeks. Did you turn into a zombie?" Where's Evan?" I hadn't had a chance to tell my family yet. "We broke up." "What?" He looked utterly shocked. Then his expression changed. "He dumped you." "Where is that bastard?" Seeing him roll up his sleeves, I quickly grabbed him. "Don't you have a meeting?" "That's more important. I'll tell you the rest later." My family was actually much wealthier than Evan had imagined. My brother had started a business in college. The chain of fried chicken shops where I worked was his project. He was a master of online marketing and had quickly turned it into a popular brand. Already in its 3rd round of funding, I had a stake in it. I was a partner. If we could go public in a few years, we would be set for life. I had been planning to tell Evan this good news when he returned. I got into my brother's car and we drove to the investment firm. I had my presentation prepared, and it went smoothly. The firm's owner was very optimistic about our project and told us to take a break in the lounge while they discussed it further. I wasn't feeling well. My brother led me to the lounge, and the moment we walked in, I saw a familiar figure, still in Chanel. Sophie was sitting there, handing out macarons to a few other girls. I froze when I saw her. She looked up and froze too. My brother had been to this firm many times. He casually took a macaron and asked her, "Here to hand out treats again, princess?" She didn't answer. Only then did he realize something was wrong and followed her gaze to me. "This is my sister, Cora. She's also a partner in our project." Sophie asked blankly. "Isn't she a psycho?" My brother exploded. "Who are you calling a psycho?" He noticed my strange expression and thought she had insulted me. He quickly came to my side. "This is Mr. Sterling's daughter. She's been spoiled since she was a child, so she's a bit clueless, but she's not a bad person." "Sophie," I suddenly pushed my brother aside and walked up to her. "Are you and Evan engaged?" My brother paused for 2 seconds. Then the overload of information hit him. "Wait a minute." He jumped in front of her. "The hand with the diamond ring you posted, that was my brother." "In-laws." Sophie, holding her macarons, looked blankly at me, then at my brother. Even a fool could see that there were only 2 possibilities. Either my brother and I were both insane, a family of delusional people, or Evan had lied to her. A few seconds later, She burst into tears. She threw the macarons on the floor, ran past us, and threw herself into the arms of a man who had just walked into the lounge. He was in a suit, his hair graying at the temples. He was one of the people who had listened to our presentation, and he was the founder of this firm. Mr. Sterling, Daddy, Sophie wailed. I think I've been tricked by a bad man, and I even begged you to make him a general manager. What do I do, Daddy? My brother and I. 20 minutes later, I was sitting in Mr. Sterling's office. His secretary poured us tea and left. His suit was smeared with foundation and lipstick from Sophie's crying. He cleared his throat awkwardly. Her mother passed away when she was young. I've spoiled her, so her emotional age is a bit younger than her peers. I hope you can understand, Miss Cora. I quickly shook my head. She didn't look that old anyway. I wondered if she had even graduated from college. But she is my only daughter, and I will not allow anyone to deceive her. His face turned cold. So I would like to understand the situation from you. I took a sip of the warm tea, feeling it give me strength. I knew my chance had come. We took strict measures to ensure that Evan would never find out about my meeting with Mr. Sterling. A few days later was the firm's internal summit. It was held in the business banquet hall of a 5-star hotel. All the entrepreneurs looking for funding would be there. Evan was there, of course, and today, there would be a lot of drama. I hid in the shadows, watching. Perhaps because he already considered himself Mr. Sterling's son-in-law. He exuded an air of extreme arrogance. An old woman was cleaning the entrance. The water from her mop accidentally splashed onto his leather shoes. He flew into a rage and kicked her water bucket. The bucket tipped over, and the old woman was drenched, standing there like a drowned rat. Do you know how expensive these shoes are? He continued, not letting up. My brother, who was just walking in, stepped in front of the old woman. Evan, what are you doing? Bullying an old woman at the entrance of an investment conference. Have you no shame? He laughed. Shame? Why would I be ashamed? Who here would dare to take a picture of me? He said coolly. Everyone knows I'm marrying Mr. Sterling's daughter. Anyone who still wants his investment knows not to cross me. My brother's mouth twitched. He was about to say more, but the old woman tugged on his sleeve. It's all right. It's all right. She pulled him away. Evan stood at the entrance, adjusted his collar, and strode into the conference hall, looking for all the world like a respectable gentleman. He's in. I sent a message to Sophie. She replied quickly. I'm so nervous. I'm afraid I'll mess up and give it away. I reassured her. Don't be. He's on top of the world right now, completely full of himself. He won't be that observant. I quietly followed them in. As expected, he had already found Sophie and was sitting with her in the front row. Sitting next to her, he was practically radiating arrogance, as if he wanted to shout to all the other entrepreneurs, I'm the one with the connections. She, on the other hand, was clearly uncomfortable. Every time he got close, she would subtly shift away, her body language screaming disgust, but he was too full of himself to notice. The conference began with a speech from Mr. Sterling. He recounted the stories of a few successful entrepreneurs and then posed a question to the audience. What do you think is the most important quality for an entrepreneur? Hands shot up. Some said perseverance. Some said courage. Some said intelligence. You are all correct. He nodded. But in my opinion, the most important quality is integrity. People often think that in business, you have to be ruthless to succeed. But in my 20 years of experience, the opposite is true. Only with integrity will your customers trust you. Will your employees follow you? And will your brand endure? Evan was the first to applaud. Well said, father-in-law. The man was truly something else. A flicker of embarrassment crossed Mr. Sterling's face, but the main event was about to begin. He took a calming breath and said, that concludes my speech. Next, we will have a sharing session from some outstanding entrepreneurs. Finally, my turn. I sent a text to Sophie. Ready, she replied. Ready. I took off my hat and mask and walked onto the stage. Hello everyone. I am an entrepreneur in the food and beverage industry. Cora. I delivered my line and waited. Sure enough, from the audience, Evan's face went pale. He immediately tried to comfort Sophie, but she, having rehearsed this many times, deftly avoided his hand and jumped to her feet. She screamed, there must be a mistake. This person is a crazy stalker who was harassing my ex-boyfriend. She was in the front row, and I had intentionally moved the microphone stand closer. Her voice echoed through the hall. Mr. Sterling was startled, and immediately came out from backstage. Sophie, stop this nonsense. Cora is a highly valued entrepreneur. How can you say such things about her? It wasn't me, she cried. Evan told me. I silently gave her a thumbs up. She had been so nervous about her acting, but she was a natural. This was the plan we had come up with a few days ago in his office. Evan had to be punished, but more importantly, Mr. Sterling needed everyone to see the process of him deceiving his daughter. They had already announced their engagement. If they broke up without a clear explanation, he was afraid she would be slandered. Press releases and explanations would be met with skepticism. The most direct way was to reenact the whole thing for everyone to see. This investment conference was our stage. Sophie was crying her eyes out. She had truly been deceived by him, and now she could finally let out all her grief. She grabbed him. "You're the one who said she was a psycho. I loved you so much. Why did you lie to me?" The other entrepreneurs in the audience pretended to be mediating, but were actually enjoying the show. Many of them had long disliked him, seeing him as an empty suit who had gotten ahead on his looks, but as the future son-in-law of Mr. Sterling, he was untouchable. Now that he was being publicly humiliated, no one wanted to miss it. "Evan, would you care to explain?" Mr. Sterling frowned, his face was pale, and he was desperately trying to come up with an excuse. "Then let me explain," I said, picking up the microphone. All eyes turned to me. Someone even took out their phone to record. When he saw the camera, he panicked and tried to knock the phone out of the person's hand. Two entrepreneurs next to him quickly grabbed him. "Mr. Evan, calm down. That's right. Take it easy." They were pretending to calm him down, but their grip was firm, protecting the phone. I held the microphone and spoke calmly, word by word. I told them about my years of love with him, about his secret affair while he was abroad, about his humiliation of me at the class reunion, about his lies to Sophie. His face grew darker and darker. Finally, he broke free and roared, "Lies. She's lying. Don't believe this bitch. I've always been an honest person. I've never hurt anyone." He frantically tried to defend himself, trying to break through the crowd to get the phone. He knew that if the video was posted online, he would not only become a laughingstock but would also lose any chance of a wealthy life. For a man as ambitious as him, that was unbearable. He moved so violently that he knocked over a chair and a nearby table of snacks and champagne. Food and drink spilled everywhere. Finally, as if realizing he could no longer deny what he had done, he knelt down and looked at Sophie. "Sophie, I was wrong. I shouldn't have lied to you," he said, with tears in his eyes. "But it was all because I love you so much. Cora did a lot for me. Do you think I don't feel guilty for abandoning her? I do, but I love you so much that I was willing to hurt her to be with you. I only lied to you because I love you so much. I didn't want you to get involved in any of this." The crowd quieted down. In the silence, the old woman who had been cleaning at the entrance reappeared. She picked up the scattered snacks and sighed. "What a waste of food." Mr. Sterling also sighed. "Mom, you can clean up later, Mom." The word sent a shockwave through the room. Even I hadn't expected that the old woman was Mr. Sterling's mother, Sophie's grandmother. There had been rumors that he had come from a poor, single-parent family in the countryside, had worked his way through university, and had seized an opportunity to make his fortune, slowly becoming the tycoon he was today. A staff member quickly rushed over. "Grandma, we'll take care of this. You don't have to." "Oh, please," she waved her hand. "I've been doing housework my whole life. Now that I'm retired, my bones ache if I don't move. At home, a whole team of maids stops me from doing anything, so I figured I could help out at the company," she said. "A little exercise is good for you. It helps you live longer." The staff members all agreed. She finished picking up the broken cakes and cookies, put them in a plastic bucket, and then walked over to Evan. He had started to tremble. He looked down and saw that though she had changed her clothes, she was still wearing the same cloth shoes, stained with the water he had splashed on her. He knew it was over. He could fool a naive young girl like Sophie, but not a seasoned veteran like her. She had seen right through him. There was no way she would agree to her granddaughter marrying him. And Mr. Sterling was a famously filial son. In short, it was all over. The old woman raised her hand and dumped the entire bucket of broken pastries over his head. "Garbage," she said coolly. "Eat the garbage you made." He was terrified. He didn't dare to disobey. He tremblingly picked up a piece of broken cookie and put it in his mouth. "My dear," the old woman patted Sophie's head. "When we're young, it's not a big deal to be fooled by a piece of trash a few times. As long as you don't lose your spirit, as long as you keep going, you'll find a better life. You understand?" Sophie nodded through her tears. "I understand, Grandma." The old woman looked at me and smiled. "You too." I nodded. She was right. This old woman, who had worked hard her whole life and had little education, had a wisdom of her own. Being deceived, being betrayed, being hurt. None of it was a big deal. As long as you don't lose your spirit, as long as you keep going, you'll find a better life. I never thought he would come back to find me. He knelt outside my apartment building, asking for another chance. He said he had been blinded by wealth, that he had made a terrible mistake, but now he realized that the deepest connection he had was with me, that he couldn't live without me. It was raining hard that day. He just knelt there, motionless. He was always like this, so sure his pity ploy would work. In all the years we were together, no matter what he did, as long as he was willing to apologize, to make amends, and to add a little of this suffering act, I would always soften, would always feel sorry for him, would always compromise, but that was because I loved you. And now, my love has been completely exhausted. I went downstairs, holding a large umbrella. He looked up, a glimmer of hope in his eyes. He must have been waiting for me to hold the umbrella over him, but I didn't. In fact, to avoid any misunderstanding, I even took a step back. Evan, I said coolly, you were the one who said to part amicably. Cora, I was wrong. I was really wrong. The rain streamed down his face. He pleaded, think about it. You spent so much of your life loving me. If you give up on us now, what a waste. It is a shame, I said, but I'm glad it's not too late. I'm still young. I have plenty of time to fall in love with someone new, to have a beautiful life. He started to tremble. He finally realized that the person who had loved him for so many years was leaving, to love someone else. Cora, I smiled. Evan, in the end, we couldn't part amicably. I turned and walked away. A few days later, someone posted the video from the conference online. Evan was completely disgraced. I never saw him again. The fried chicken shop's business took off. I used my marketing experience and quickly turned it into a popular brand. I finally realized that when I invested the time and energy I had spent on him into myself, I could shine just as brightly. My brother had been very busy lately, often going to see Mr. Sterling to report on his work, and after his reports, he would be cornered by the smiling Grandma Sterling. The old lady was very fond of him. That day at the conference, when she was splashed with water, it was my brother who had taken her to buy new, clean clothes. Grandma seems to be trying to set me up with Sophie, my brother reported, leaning against the kitchen door. I took the breaded chicken wings out of the fryer, listening with satisfaction to the sizzling sound. What do you think? Isn't the family connection a little messy? He asked, cautiously watching my expression. It's not, I said. The past is the past. Don't bring that trash into it. The only thing you need to consider is whether you like Sophie. Oh, and whether she would even like you back. Sis, he roared. Can't you have a little faith in your own brother? Full of a desire to prove himself, he left, probably to buy a gift or ask her out. I took the fried chicken out of the pot. My phone lit up. It was a message from Nina. It's been a while since we all got together. I hear there's a new Sichuan restaurant. Want to go? Oh, and my boyfriend's cousin just came back to the country. He's handsome, has a good income, and a great personality. If you're not against it, I can set you two up. I smiled and replied, of course, but I have a question. Nina hesitated. After what happened with Evan, do you still believe in love? Are you afraid to give your all to someone new? I replied calmly, no. The one who wasn't worthy of trust was Evan, not love itself. Don't worry, I can tell the difference. I put down my phone, opened my makeup bag, and chose my favorite lipstick. After applying it, I looked at myself in the mirror. The lipstick was a bright apricot, orange, full of the vitality of spring. The unhappiness of the past will fade, and a new life will begin. I'm looking forward to it.